This week in VCT, Game Changers has officially started. Two more people in the VCT scene has officially retired, and three different teams have announced their roster. So let's first talk about the rumor mill that's been happening, and there's only just been one rumor, which includes Wolves Juicy. Now, Juicy should be well known for obviously being part of the Ascension winning Bleed squad back in last year 2020, and was also part of the Skies as well this year. He was kicked out of the Skies for Split 3, I believe, for the C Challenger scene. So obviously he's now teamless. But according to Tanmay, the rumor is that Juicy will be joining Wolves Esports. I'm pretty sure to replace Aluba, I believe. Which I mean, with already what their roster looks like and how dominant they've been looking in the offseason, oh, Wolves are looking really, really good. I mean, we know how good Juicy is. We've seen obviously on the stage as well in Ascension this year and last year, so we know how good this kid is. So with him as well to coming out to China and to boost up this Wolves squad, this team is going to do wonders. If Wolves does not make it to any international event next year, I'm going to be severely disappointed in them. Now for the news throughout the week, and there's only just one, which includes Vanity and Annex. Both of them have officially retired. Let's first start with Vanity. He used to play for Cloud9 on two different stints. He was also part of Version 1 as well, the same team that made it to Masters Reykjavik back in 2021 with Sentinels in North America. I mean, to be fair, he's had a pretty long career. I mean, he started off in CS. He was part of Chaos Esports Club, I believe, the infamous team where I think they beat MIBR or something, and Leaf got a bunch of death threats by the Brazilian team. Yes, Vanity was part of that, including Zeppa, I believe. So I guess you can say that Vanity and Zeppa both of them just went to Valorant at the same time, including Leaf as well, I believe. So, but I mean, I think it's fair. I mean, Vanity, I could tell that he didn't really enjoy. He didn't really enjoy Valorant. I mean, I think he said himself as well that he's retiring because he just doesn't enjoy it anymore, which is fair, man. That's what we've seen as well with quite a lot of these other players as well. Tens, Sassy, I think another one I'm trying to remember, like Laz as well. They're all retiring from a professional Valorant now. To be fair, all of them have had pretty long careers, and Vanity's one of them. He's been competing in CS since Eon, so he's been there for quite a while. It was Lily Blaze King also retired as well. So quite a lot of people, so quite a lot of players are retiring, which I'm a bit surprised about. But Vanity, to be fair, he's had a pretty long career, which is absolutely fair enough. As for Annex, he isn't really that well known. Obviously, he is a South Korean coach, or a former South Korean coach, I should say. Now, I guess most notably, he used to be the coach for JD Gaming this year in China, like the latter half, I'm pretty sure, of the season. I think he was also a coach for Maru Gaming. I can't remember. I remember he was a coach for a Korean team. It might have been the DRX Academy, maybe, or like the DRX Prospect team, I believe. I think that's where he was a coach for. But I mean, he hasn't really had. I don't think he's had a long career like Vanity. I think he's mainly well known in Valorant, I believe. I might be wrong. But either way, I wish both of these players and coach, I should say, a well-rested retirement. Now for the Rostermania. First, sort of with 100 Thieves, as they have announced, Rudy and Frenya has officially joined this team as coaches. Now, this kind of made me, kind of surprised me. Rudy, he used to be a player, I believe, for Exo Clan, I believe, in the North scene, North Polaris. As for Frenya, I think he used to be the analyst for KPI Gaming, I believe, in the Spanish region. So kind of mainly in the EU region, I'm saying. But I think this will help the 100 Thieves coaching staff a lot. Now that not only Zeeks, but now they have Rudy and Frenya. And I think that's pretty good. I'm really interested on how Rudy's gonna go, considering that Rudy wasn't really a coach until like recently, because he was mainly a player for Exo Clan, I believe, but now that he's now a coach for 100 Thieves, I'll be interested to see how that goes. As for Franya, I think he was the analyst, I believe, for KPI Gaming, so he hasn't had a lot of coaching experience. I know he was a coach before. I think when he joined KPI Gaming, I believe, I think for a CIS team. but I'll be interested to see how that goes. Now, for one of three teams that have announced their roster, first start off with Crew Esports. They have announced their roster officially, adding in Mazzino and Adverso into the lineup. The coaching staff has been basically the same. I don't know how. I mean, I'm not too sure what to think about this team. I mean, they showed last year, oh, I should say this year, that they're actually a very, very good team. I mean, maybe because they added Heat into the lineup and they changed the IGL role and position to MTA, I believe. Well, MTA was off the duelist role and he's now gone to Initiator. So they've done quite a lot of like role changes, I believe. I guess maybe Melser might be the IGL for this team. Maybe even Averso as well. I think Averso was the IGL when he was playing for what team was a 9Z team, I believe he was playing for in Ascension Americas. I might be wrong, obviously. But I mean, Averso, he has been in the scene for a while now. I think he has, or has he played for Leviathan? I remember. I know he was in one of the LATAM teams. It was either Crew or Leviathan. I can't remember, to be honest. As for Mazzino, that's a pretty good upgrade as well. I really, really like that. Obviously, he used to play for Leviathan. Yes, there was a bit of question marks going around and champs with the whole assault thing that was happening. Allegations, I should say. But, I mean, I'm not too sure where that's going now. But with him to join Crew, I think is a good choice, in my opinion. I mean, it was kind of like that was like his only choice, in my opinion, of going to Crew Esports. Just because, I mean, I don't think he was gonna go to Loud. I don't think he was gonna go to MIBR Furia. We kind of have a bit of an understanding of what their roster is gonna look like. So with him to go to Crew is actually a pretty good choice, in my opinion. The second team to announce their roster is Carmine Corp, the French team who announced their roster, pretty sure before the KCSX4 tournament. I don't know. It's basically like Carmine Corp versus Koi. That's basically it. It's basically the roster that we've been thinking about. I mean, Martin says adding Avis, Elite, Segetsu, and Sadak as the IGL, and you already have a phenomenal roster. We will be talking about Koi pretty soon. But Carmine Core's roster, I'm gonna keep saying this. Carmine Core are looking scary. I bet they're going to make it to an international event. Maybe all of them. Maybe miss out on one because I mean Bangkok is gonna be pretty difficult to make it into the top two, while the EMEA region are looking pretty stacked with some great talent. So with Carmine Cole to get like these like great players, I mean Sagetsu and Sardak, that's amazing. Elite and Avis, I think a lot of people could be keeping their eyes on them. Elite was pretty good on BBL. I guess I guess there's a lot of question marks on Avis. I mean, I think he's the first Egyptian player, I believe, to be competing in the top tier of VCT. So, or maybe, unless if you count Shalabi, I believe, who played for Team Vitality in the standing at some point. But I mean, with Avis now coming in, I'm interested to see how Carmine Cole goes now with no French talent. I mean, the only French that they have is Zeish, who's the assistant coach, I believe. I think there's also another coach or an analyst, I believe, who's also French. That's the only French talent that they have. I'll be honest in this team. So, but I mean, this team I saw really, will be really, really good. So, in my opinion, coming the next year in 2025 for the EMEA region. And speaking of Koi, let's talk about them, as they've also announced their rosters and their coaches as well. They obviously added Filu, Soulcast, and Flyer into the lineup, and they've actually added Strong and Gorilla as the coaches, which is very surprising. I was not expecting that. Obviously, those three players will be joining Shadows and Grabino on the roster. It's a pretty good roster, to be fair. I mean, Flyer, we knew that he was getting quite a lot of EMEA opportunities in the past. So with him to finally take one up is pretty good. And he's a very good IGL, in my opinion. I think a lot better than Shadow. And I mean, a lot of people have also been saying that maybe his aim isn't that good, but just rest assured, maybe just having an off day. I think he's pretty good. I mean, for him to go to like Phase, and Moisex Shopify as well. I mean, he's a very, very good player. Filu, he is a bit of a question mark. He used to play for Desire, I believe, in the Italian region. So that's a bit of a question mark, just because I'm not too sure how well he's gonna go. I know I did talk about him quite a lot, pretty sure when EMEA Ascension was happening. So I mean, I guess you can say that he was like the only bright spot on that team that Koi was looking at. And Soulcast, I mean, he doesn't really need any introduction. He used to play for Apex, he used to play for Team Liquid, so he has been in the scene for quite a while. And I think his veteranship as well is going to help this team a lot. I mean, you have like young players like Rubino and Flyer, not Flyer, Filu in the lineup. I mean, Flyer, he's also been the same for quite a while. Shados, he's won an international event. So I think this Koi team might be sneaky good, and it's what having strong Gorilla as the coach. It's actually pretty good. I mean, it's might be better than what we saw this year with Barbar and Arrow Z, I believe. So I think they've definitely made some upgrades into this team. And the final Rostermania news is that Bane has left DRX. Not surprised. I mean, I don't know what else to say other than I'm just not surprised. Bane, I mean, we kind of already knew that Bane was leaving, but the question is, where could he go? I don't know. He could go back down to Korea Tier 2, or he could do what him and Mika, I believe, did and go to China. I mean, he's played in China before, I believe. I think it was for. I can't remember. Was it for All Gamers? I believe. I think he was. I think he played for. I might be wrong. Maybe I can't remember what Chinese team he played for, but I do know he did play for a Chinese team. So Ben can easily do that. He can easily go back to the Chinese scene and potentially get a spot there. But the Chinese scene, we kind of already know what all the rosters looks like. I mean, I don't think it's really any to be determined spots, I believe. Well, other than maybe all gamers coaching staff, but that's kind of already well known as well. But we'll see where Ben goes, but hopefully he does, hopefully stay in the VCT scene. Let's now move it now to GameChangers, and first start off with Shopify Rebellion, as they played one game against Falcons Vega. They won, and Fluorescent was MVP. No surprise. I mean, Shopify, they are looking scary. They are looking, they look like where they left off last year, where they won in Sao Paulo. And they might do it, they might do it again, I'll be honest. I think they're definitely the favorites coming into this, along with maybe G2 goes in. Maybe there might be some other teams as well. I might not really be thinking of, but I think those two teams are going to be most likely the grand finalists. I mean, we saw how they went toe to toe a couple times, but they have never met each other. Well, I guess the team have, but not the core that we see right now with Shopify Rebellion. Obviously, the main core. This Shopify Rebellion was mainly part of Cloud9 White with Mel and Alexis, and they've added some other players like Fluorescent, Noya, and Sarah into the lineup. So, I mean, it's not really like the same Shopify Rebellion core that we saw back in 2022. So, but I mean, the Orcs have definitely versed each other. We'll say that for sure. But with them to be Falcons Vega, I'm not surprised if Falcons Vega look meh in my opinion, but I will certainly talk about them a bit more later. Next up, it is FlyQuest Red, as they did lose against Zipto Esports. Dodonut was my MVP. And I mean, FlyQuest are kind of nowhere, in my opinion. I was a bit disappointed in them. I thought they were going to be pretty good. But to be fair, their roster as a whole is pretty average now that I think about it. I mean, you have Starbound and Thea. Both of them was part of the EG squad that was in last year, and they were also kind of average. You have Sander, who popped off 2 years ago. I mean, she was amazing on that squad. Donut has also been very, very consistent as well. I mean, she has been in the scene for quite a while. I think she used to play for TSMX, I believe. And then Evie, I can't. I feel like Evie was a part of EG as well. Maybe I'm wrong. I know Thea was also part of Dignitas, I believe, when Dignitas was in Valorant. But yeah, I'm not too sure though. But I mean, I guessing I maybe I'm not surprised. Maybe I shouldn't be surprised considering that Zipto is the former Team SMG squad. I made a mistake on that on my last episode, so apologies for that. Shout out as well to the I can't remember what your name is right now, which I do apologize for, but the comment down on my video about that, so thank you for that. But yeah, I mean, maybe I shouldn't be surprised. I mean, FlyQuest as a whole on their squad is kind of average if we're looking at all the other squads in champs, but I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but we'll see how they go more into this tournament. MIBR GC representing Brazil, they did win against Giant X, GC, I should say. SRN was my MVP, and I mean, to be fair, MIBR looking really, really good. They might be a sleeper pick, I'll be honest. They might surprise some people. I mean, they are looking pretty good. I think everyone on this team is clicking. They're looking very, very strong. With them as well to beat Giant XGC, who I thought was a bit of an average team. I mean, to be fair, MIBR, GC, and Giant XGC, in my opinion, were both in the same level. So, but I'm not too sure if that's still the case. But I mean, this team is still very, very good. I think they did 2-0 them, 2-0 them. But I mean, still, I mean, MIBR, GC are still a very, very good team. And I'm excited to see how they go more into this tournament. And the final one from the Americas region is Crew Blaze, as they play 2 games against Zeta and G2 Gozen. They won against Zeta, but lost against G2. Dodds was my MVP on both of them, and my god, Dodds. If you thought Fluorescent was cracked, I mean, Dodds is basically the Brazilian version of Fluorescent. I mean, she was also extremely good, extremely impressive as well. Michaela as well has some good moments. Romy and Cornea also has some decent moments as well. But I mean, it was mainly just Dodds. It was just a Dodds show on Zeta against Zeta. She was very, very good there, and she was also pretty good as well in G2 Gozen. So yeah, very, very good and very, very impressive there from Crew. Moving now to the only Chinese team in this tournament, that being ALGGC. And they did lose against Falcons Vega, and Muffin was my MVP. To be fair, I mean, she was pretty impressive as well. Who else in this team? I'm trying to remember right now the name. Jin was also alright. 1 HP was maybe the only type of player in that match. Everyone else was pretty decent, to be fair. But I mean, when you have like a mix of Chinese and Taiwanese players with Thai players, it's a bit difficult to communicate. So I can also understand that this team might struggle a bit. So I mean, but it's the little victories that we get. Like, oh, this player performed pretty well for this team in this match, even though they lost. Still played pretty well. I think Muffin was definitely up there, including Lucine as well. Both of them were very, very good for AOGGC, and especially against Falcons Vega, who are an alright team. All-rounder, just meh, alright. Still a pretty good result, I'll be honest, for AOGGC. Even though they lost, still pretty good showing from them players. Now to EMEA, first start off with G2 goes, and as they did win against Crew Blaze, Rescue was my MVP. Not surprised. Once again, just like Shopify Rebellion, I'm just not surprised. G2 goes in. I mean, like I said, with Shopify are the favorites coming into this event, so I do expect them to beat out some of these teams like Crew, like Zipto, like MIBRGC potentially, but that team is definitely a dark horse. So, I mean, obviously that G2 was going to win this game. If they didn't, then that would be a massive upset, in my opinion. I mean, they still have Petra and Mimi, who both of those was part of G2 when they first won in 2022. And then they've added all these players like Amy, Vanilla, Rescue, and Rescue is already showing that she has potential to be a champion as well. So G2 right now is looking very, very, very good. Giant XGC, I'm not too sure about that one, I'll be honest. And they did lose against MIBR. Smurfette was my MVP, but I do have to give a quick shout as well to Juliana. I mean, she was very, very good in this game. Smurfette, I mean, mostly was my MVP in my opinion, and she was very, very impressive there. I mean, I guess this is what I mean about just an average showing. Giant XGC was just average, and I can't remember where I ranked MIBR. I think it was in the same tier, I believe, as Giant X. If not, I'm probably smoking crack right now. But it's still an alright showing from Giant X. I mean, there's definitely stuff that they need to work on. But it's still a pretty good showing though from Giant X GC in my opinion. And for Falcons Vega, they played 2 games against AOG and Shopify. They won against AOG, but lost against Shopify. Mad V and Mary were my MVPs. I mean, who's the new like Lexa, I think, or Lexi? She's just been alright. I mean, Man V and Mary, both of them have been very, very good. Tookie has also been pretty decent as well for this team. I can't remember who the Turkish player is, but she's been alright as well. But I guess the main one has just been, I think Mary was very, very good on both games in my opinion. And like I said as well with Giant X, kind of where I expect them to be. I mean, they have definitely shown a lot of promise, especially Mad V, who I haven't really seen that much, but as she's also the IGL, she's been pretty impressive. So it's a good showing though from Falcons. I'm excited to see how they go further on to this tournament. But I'm not too sure if it's going to end soon or not. I think up today will be the elimination match for one of the teams, I believe. So one of the teams might have to be saying their goodbyes pretty soon. Hopefully it's not Falcons Vega because I do enjoy watching them. But we'll see how they go. But I mean, I'm a bit skeptical on this team. And finally for Pacific was, let's first start with Zipto Esports as they did win against FlyQuest Red. Alexi was my MVP. Don't worry, they didn't do anything stupid like a full duelist comp like they did last year on as Team SMG. Thank God for that, but that would be quite funny. I mean, this team's also looking really good. This team might be, or maybe on the same page as MIBRGC as potential dark horses, like, and underdogs even. I mean, especially as they're from the C region. Zipto might surprise some people. I mean, if they were pretty dominant against FlyQuest Red as a second seed in North America, then potentially they might do well. I mean, we saw how 4 of these players were on Team SMG when they were against EG, the first seed of North America, and they destroyed them. So it's a good showing from Zipto, in my opinion. So that's already great. I think as well having Trifel, I think as the IGL has definitely helped this team a lot. I'm pretty sure it plays Kalabi, I believe. Maybe I'm wrong. But I mean this team like might be on the same level as MIBL as potential dark horses in my opinion. And the final team as well is Zeta Division as they played 1 game against Crew Blaze and they lost that sadly. Suzy was my MVP. I mean, I remember, I think, who was it? Was it Aiko, I believe, who got like a 3K judge somehow in the Viper's pit? That was something I was not expecting. But I mean, I can imagine Zeta Division was just, it was so difficult for them to shut down Dodds. I mean, Dodds, she was just on a roll. I mean, on her first international event, she was on a roll. So it was really cool to see that. But for Zeta, I mean, according to the coach, they were just having fun, which is fair. They definitely looked relaxed and chill, and they weren't nervous. They weren't really over peaking and stuff, which is a good sign. But I mean, and the result isn't really showing. I mean, I kind of expected them to struggle, but I mean, I guess Crew should be like a B tier team. Zeta should be C tier, which I'm pretty sure I'll put Crew on the same tier as Zeta for some reason. If they're looking back on it, why? But I mean, look, Zeta might do well, but I just think that Zeta might be eliminated straight away. I can't remember if they are the team that might get eliminated today. Maybe it's another one. It might be AOG versus Zeta. I might be wrong though. But I mean, we'll see what happens with Zeta. I mean, I don't expect much from this team, but if they do, stay alive, then that's obviously a good sign for this team. And the final thing we have to talk about of this week is Challengers, as Latin America South Split 3 has finished, and it was the 3rd seed of Furious Gaming winning the Latin America South Split 3 tournament, beating out Reta Esports in the grand final 3-2. So as a result follows, it is Furious Gaming, Retro Esports, who I just want to say has now been disbanded, like the roster has been completely blown up after this. Rebirth Esports, Aura in third and fourth respectively. Fifth through sixth, which includes Oxen and Zen Esports, and seventh through eighth, which includes 9Z Team Female and Deegan Bull Beats. So that's really about it for me for this week in VCT. So now, like, guys, to like, comment, and subscribe. It will really help me, especially on this channel. So yeah, that's really about it for me. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Catch you guys next time in the next one. Goodbye.